Uh, all right, everybody.
It's been so long.
It's been so long. We're trying to be serious here, but it's been so long. Welcome back to the Productivity Lovers podcast. We're so happy to be here with you. And
what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Productivity Lovers podcast, the podcast about how to become more productive in your work and home environment. The Productivity Lovers podcast is brought to you by Cris, a certified professional organizer, and Deb Lee, a digital productivity coach. Buckle up and enjoy the show.
I don't know what episode we're in, but
we're back.
We're back. Yeah. We're not quite ready to talk about our hiatus, but we'll talk about our hiatus maybe in the next couple of weeks when it feels settled and ready.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. But so I feel like we should at least briefly catch up. How are you?
That's usually good, right? I'm good.
That's how we start.
That's usually how we start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing okay. I just had my hair done.
Your hair looks fabulous. Yeah.
Thank you.
Gotta go check our YouTube video to see that.
So first of all, I colored, so I'm a little bit lighter. I'm closer to a blonde, but not quite. Mm-hmm. Not quite. I'm just a little bit brighter than I was before. And then I was racing to get here on time because, I don't want to keep you waiting. Okay. So the highlight of my week is that I got highlights in my hair.
Nice.
So that's always a great way to start, right?
I was in the shower this morning, and
that's a good thing.
It's a good thing, showering every day. I'm a supporter of that. I was like, why are all older people blonde? And I was like, oh my God, that's because everybody's gray. So they have to dye their hair blonde.
Listen, whatever it takes. Whomever you are out there, if you need to be blonde or some other color to hide the grays, and you so desire to hide those grays, because there are people who are welcoming the grays. Like I just saw an article about Andy McDowell from back in the day. Now she's got gray and gray curls and she looks amazing. Look, if you like the gray, go for it. I'm not a gray girl just yet.
I think some people do gray amazingly.
Yes.
And my partner is, I call him a silver fox. He's like, he does gray really, really well.
I thought he was blonde.
He calls himself ultra blonde. Like he is really ultra gray. He just does it really well because he does have like a full head of grayness. So he looks great. Like I am not that, my gray is not that gorgeous. I'm like, maybe in like another 10 years, I'll be changing my mind. But I don't know why I was thinking like, why are all older people like blondish? And I was like, oh, it's the gray. When your brain finally connects something, it was like this morning in the shower. That's when it happened.
Well, I guess we're all technically older in some way. So whether we show it or not.
Yeah. You may be hearing the puppy running around. That's Willow. She's a
new addition, right, to your family.
She is. Yeah, we just got her about 4 weeks ago, and she is about 14 weeks, and
the fun stage.
She's going to be roaming around. So we'll see how that works out.
I would like to see her in person one day. So hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. She just ran to the other side of the room, but if she comes back, maybe I'll pull her up and she can say hi on video.
Nice.
She's a sweet she's a golden retriever lab mix.
She is gorgeous.
She's a very sweet dog. So, you got your hair done and I got a puppy.
That sounds like we're winning. We're winning. Just that statement alone. Winning.
Very true.
Indeed.
Very true. So I think we had lots of topics planned for today, but you and I got on the call and we started talking about something that I thought was really relevant. So I feel like this is what we're going to talk about today.
Yep, this is it.
And I don't know what we're going to call this, but it's essentially, do you want to describe it?
So you're in the workplace and you're working with a team, small or large, but you're on a team, and there is that one person that brings a certain type of energy or vibe, and not in a good way. This person, for lack of a better phrase, sucks the energy, the good energy out of the room. It's noticeable. And beyond that, it impacts you. It could be someone who's toxic in terms of just personality and interpersonal skills, or just someone who is never on time, never gets the work done, is just sort of pulling the team down rather than working through the problems and moving forward. Because no team is ever perfect, right? There's always stuff that comes up, but you can work together and get through it and move forward. But this person just kicks out. It's like the cat who knocks everything off the table. That person.
On purpose.
On purpose. That's the person.
We all that have had cats know that sometimes they are clumsy and they knock things off the counter by accident. But you also have had a cat that will purposely tap, 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 tap until the thing falls onto the ground.
That's right. That's the person we're talking about.
That is the person we're talking about. Yeah. Gosh, I can think of a dozen people over my career that were those personalities that literally sucked the life out of you when they walked into the room, or when you got an email from them, or when you saw their caller ID number. For those of us that had corporate caller ID, you see them in their phone ringing, you're like, why are they calling me? It's the worst when they are your boss.
Well, that is tricky. I can't say that I've been in the situation where my direct supervisor or my boss was the person not, quote unquote, pulling their weight or just sucking out the energy that was good. But I think so there's two kinds of people here who are probably listening to this. Someone who is maybe working on a team like that and maybe don't have the control over who the teammates are, or maybe you're a small business owner and you're forming or creating a team, or you already have one established and you're noticing, there's an issue here. And for some of us, I think sometimes it's easy to just sort of ignore it and hope for the best, or you wait to see, maybe it will fix itself or it will change, and you wait too long. So I think partly it's, what do you do when you're on the team and you don't have control over the teammates? Or what if you are in control of the team? You're the boss. Can you just yank that person out? Should you? I mean, and how do you do it? And is it, letting go of that piece to make the rest of the team thrive? Is that a good enough reason? And, what are the answers here? So I'm curious as to how you would maybe manage that if you were the person on the team and could not, sort of decide who could be on it or not.
That's, I think I have experienced that from all perspectives, right? I have been an employer with a toxic person on my team. Okay. I have had a boss that was toxic, that misrepresented himself until I started work.
Okay.
And then I have been in a team with a toxic person where I didn't have the choice. And I have to say that none of those resolved itself in a really positive way at all.
Ouch.
Because the nature of those resolutions. But I think from a productivity perspective, right? I think that's probably the conversation that we want to be having today, is that not only do they suck the energy out of the room, right, but they also make people feel uncomfortable, which make them feel much less productive in all ways. And I think of all the times when I have been in a team with a toxic person, and the time that I worked for a toxic person. I was in that situation for probably like a year and a half, and then I had to leave. I had to find another job. It just felt.
So you removed yourself from the situation.
I had to remove myself from that situation and find a new situation to be, which is dangerous, right? Because you invest time and resources into finding what you think it's a good home for you to be. And then all of a sudden you have to find another home. So that was challenging in itself. And as a person that employs people, that's really disheartening too.
Yeah, sure.
In my situation, I watched this person literally destroyed the whole process in a way that was out of control. It was like a tornado in a really bad way. And I wish I had worked things differently and maybe fire the person way earlier.
Sometimes
but I had compassion. Work, right? Yeah.
It's just the way it is. I think sometimes we don't want to do that part.
No, it's like we all wish we had a magic ball and we could just be like, or we
easy
could,
button.
or we could all be in relationships with reasonable people that we could then have conversations about what is it that's happening and how do you solve those things. But I know you experienced.
What could you do? Let's say you decided to stay in that job because you couldn't find another job and you had to be there for whatever those reasons were. I mean, how would you have managed that? I mean, to stay productive yourself and still feel as though this team that you're on was moving forward.
And they used to make me cry every day. So it was really hard to be productive when I was like, I was so emotionally and verbally abused that it was hard for me to be productive, Yeah. I think like productivity, and I think we have talked enough here about like understanding the energy that we bring into situations and understanding our best time of work. But when you're being verbally abused at work, it's hard to find productivity because like your body is in a heightened sense of alert, right? I mean, I used to go to work at like 6 a.m. just to get some of my work done before the rest of, the toxic people would show up. But there was only so much you can do of that, essentially I would work from 6 to 9. And then I'd just be like in this heightened sense of awareness about like, when is the next yelling coming? Or when is somebody on my team going to be this one particular person? When is she going to like have a meltdown that will have an impact on me? So it was just really hard to relax and just be the best person I could be for that team. So, and I know that this is like a very unusual situation.
It sounds really extreme. It wasn't what I was thinking originally. I'm like, oh my gosh, they had you crying?
I wasn't even why we started talking about this, right? You were sharing an experience that you had. And then I felt like this would be a great way to share. But as like you started talking about it, this like rush of memories from like my job came to me. So well,
I'm hoping that the people listening are generally not having that.
I sure hope so too, because that was an extreme situation and no one should work under those strenuous.
No, definitely not. I would agree with you on that. I mean, making somebody else cry is definitely.
No, it's not cool at all. Yeah. It's not okay to make your team members cry for any reason.
Yeah. So. Agreed.
But crying employees or crying of any kind doesn't make you productive. That's it. Like when you
maybe happy crying. Maybe happy crying is okay every so often, but sad crying, pain crying, that might be a little tricky. So I was envisioning sort of, the person who just isn't pulling their weight, and that energy that comes with that sort of, maybe it's a nonchalance, like not as invested as the other team members are. And I'm very competitive, right? So if I've got something, or I'm very deadline driven, I have it in front of me. I've got the carrot dangling in front of me. I'm going to put in, my work ethic is high, and I don't expect others to have it as high, but I want there to be, I want my team members to feel as enthusiastic as I am. And if there's someone who is less than enthused, or is just not pulling their weight and is dragging the team down, I think that can be really, really hard, because you still have to focus and you still have your deliverables and you still have those things you're trying to achieve. Right. And how do you do it when you're not in control of the team members? And if you are in control of the team members, you just yank them out.
Yeah. So
like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Do you have answers to that? Hold on a second. Let's just pause for 1 minute.
We're pausing.
We're unpausing to say hello.
Hi. Hello.
This one was eating the
You have gotten so big. Wow. The picture I saw, she was teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tiny. Okay. All right, now we're really unpausing.
Now we're back. So I think I do have sort of an answer.
Okay.
For I'm on a team and my team member isn't pulling her or his weight. And I think honestly, you have to focus on the job at hand. You have to focus on your role, your lane and your role in the team and what it is that you're trying to accomplish in concert with everyone else. But I do think there comes a point where I don't like confrontation. So I might, offer to say, hey, you have some questions about this part of your job that you should be doing. This person's really great and might be able to assist. I mean, I think trying to intervene and offer help and be a team member in that way and in the most positive way might be a start. But if over time you're realizing it really is, sort of preventing you from meeting your deadlines, you kind of might need to let the team lead know that. I think that's when the honesty really needs to ramp up, because it's then going to impact everybody. It's not just you. When it's just me working on some project and if it doesn't go well, it goes south, it's just me. But if there are 2, 3, 5, 10 other people on the team, then it impacts everyone else. So I think focus as much as you can on the job at hand, what it is that you are responsible for, and do that to the best of your ability. And then, if things really aren't working out, it does require maybe a conversation, a very direct conversation.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good tip. And I imagine that now in the world of hybrid work, where people are working from home a substantial amount of time or a good portion of the time, or even maybe half of the time, right?
Yeah.
That those situations are maybe minimized because if you are working from home by yourself, I guess, those people can't suck the energy of you as much. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe through Zoom they can.
I wonder if there's any substantial studies that talk about, the real productivity that people are experiencing at working from home. I mean, I get that we get distracted and start doing laundry and dishes and I don't know, maybe mowing the grass for some people. Some of my neighbors mow the grass in the middle of the day. I'm like, don't you work?
Not right now, but yes.
I'm like, okay, well, if that works for you, that's a nice break in the middle of the day. It's good for your productivity. So I have a couple of questions. I guess one is, are people finding themselves more productive because they are not working in teams, whether because it was too much chit-chatting or because they did have these people that were sucking the life out of them while they were in the office? So they're feeling more productive at home now that they don't have those daily interactions with some of their coworkers.
Yep.
And then it just made me think about what around the house is distracting you from actually being more productive in your work? I think at some point we should talk more about we can productivity and working from home, which is how we got started.
It is absolutely. I don't know. To your first question, I am not really sure if people are experiencing it differently, because whether you're remote or in person or hybrid, if you have that member on your team, the impact of their lack of work or subpar work is still going to affect you in some way. So whether you see them like we are talking to each other on Zoom, or you're side by side, shoulder to shoulder, I think you're still going to feel it. It might be easier for you to have a sidebar conversation with your team lead. Maybe you go into a breakout room with that person on Zoom and you chat it through that way. I don't know, but I still think you're going to feel the impact, because the end result, the goal, the pinnacle, the peak that you're trying to reach, you're slogging. It's just not, you're not making it, right? So I still think you're going to feel it. As for laundry and dishes and the distractions that they bring, I can attest, yes, they have pulled my attention a time or two. Or more. If I want to really be productive, I need to close the office door. I need to just not look at the dishes, or do them the night before to make sure they're not there, or make sure they're in the dishwasher, whatever that's going on. So for me, they can be very distracting. So I have to ignore them. And I have to just say, you know what, that's for after, not right now. But for some people, they need to get up and move around and
Yeah.
do something, turn off the work brain and turn on some other side of their brain to help them on their productivity path. So I guess what I'm saying is there's no right or wrong, but if you know the laundry and the dishes or the dog or whomever is going to distract you like it does for me, then you gotta kind of, ignore that. So
make arrangements for it.
yes, make some plans. Make some
plans.
Yes, make some plans.
Well, I guess, what do we do with our coworkers? Just address the problem head on. That's the word.
Head on. Yeah. I wish there was an easy button for this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy button for this. If you really want to achieve that goal, finish that project, start the project. If you really want that. And if it is important to you and your team, and there's one of you that's not pulling his or her weight, you can try to counsel, talk to them on your own, sort of be teammate of the year and do it that way and see how that goes. But over time, if it's not working, sometimes it's just not a good fit. Sometimes it's bad timing. We never know what somebody else has going on in their life. So I don't want to, bash people who don't pull their weight, because at some point or another, maybe one of us will be that person, just depending on what's happening in life. I mean, heck, we had the hiatus for a reason, right? Which we will get back to, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes life happens and we get that, but we still need to meet the goal. So some hard, not unkind, they're difficult conversations, but they're not unkind conversations. Mm. I hope that's, I think that can still happen. You can still be kind and direct and have a difficult conversation with someone about the expectations and meeting expectations or not, and how you interact with your team lead. So I think culture, so your team leader, the boss, the manager, the supervisor, whatever you want to call them, they have to structure a culture where open dialogue is accepted and encouraged with each other, as team members, but also with them as team lead. It should be a regular, like, so how's it going? Like, if there's one thing you could change, what would you change? Oh, that Debbie would show up on time. I don't know, something, right? You want to have fostered that culture, and hopefully you're in one of those situations where you have, a team leader or a manager who really encourages that, because it reflects on them too, right? If you don't get that job done. So those
are really, what I love about you is that you always bring positivity to the conversation. And then I'm going to wrap it up by saying, when all of that fails, you have to get a new job or fire.
There you go.
That's it.
Either you talk it out or you find a new job.
When dialogue didn't work and it's sucking the productivity out of everyone, then you got to make harsh decisions. So
indeed.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We have missed you very much. We have missed each other very much.
Yes.
And we're glad to be back. If you have a topic of discussion, or if you want to discuss this further, you can find us on social media.
productivitylovers.com and Productivity Lovers everywhere else. I think maybe Productivity Love on Twitter though. So yeah, just a little different there.
Good thing Google is there to help us find things.
That's right. So watch and listen and subscribe. And yeah, if you have questions, send them our way.
We would love that. Anyway, thanks everybody. We love being back. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Productivity Lovers podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe so that you get notified when we upload a new productivity podcast. For more tips and notes from the show, check us out at productivitylovers.com. Talk to you soon.